What's the deal with Trump's seismic blasting plan, and why is there a petition with over 165,000 signatures to stop it? This and more today on Direct Message, the only show where I'll be discussing one of the most controversial people on the third episode. We begin our story in the White House on January 4th, 2018, where Interior Secretary Ryan Zinke introduced a plan that would greatly expand offshore drilling on both coasts and allow the usage of seismic blasting. So what is seismic blasting, and what are seismic air guns? This is how they look, and here's how they sound. Before seismic air guns, literal dynamite was used, and it didn't always end up well. Like you might expect, some entire ships went missing. According to Oceana.org, these seismic air guns are towed behind ships and shoot loud blasts of compressed air through the water and miles into the seabed, which reflect back information about buried oil and gas deposits. And as you might expect, these blasts harm marine mammals, sea turtles, fish, and other wildlife. For wildlife such as this, a seismic blast that renders them deaf would mean certain death. Blasts harm the immediate vicinity and thousands of miles in every direction. A better alternative? A marine vibrator. These use not large explosive blasts, but instead a constant sound at a gentler frequency. They're in the early phases of testing, and they seem to hold promise, but as you might expect, the main boundary is money. Separate from the proposal of Zinke, NOAA is attempting to make seismic airgun vessels require to use a towed PAM system for potential detection of marine mammals. PAM stands for Passive Acoustic Monitoring, and it's an effective and safe method for the detection of marine mammals. In the same proposal, NOAA says drilling will not be allowed if any marine mammals are detected by the PAM in the exclusion zone. Each boat must have one experienced PAM operator, and that's really good news. According to the Department of the Interior website, they will make over 90% of the outer continental shelf acreage and over 98% of undiscovered oil and gas resources available to consider for future exploration and development. Basically, the whole ocean is up for grabs, and that means a lot of profit. As an American, I hear the word profit and I think, that's great, but not this time. This time, it's not great. Because we have to remember, the Gulf oil spill was a thing that happened. It was the worst oil spill in US history, and you can consider yourself lucky if you haven't seen pictures of those poor baby ducks covered in oil. With an exponential rise in oil rigs, comes with it an exponential rise in the potential for disaster. But not all is lost. Congressman John Rutherford has led a bipartisan letter with more than 100 members of Congress voicing their disdain. The letter, addressed to Ryan Zinke, reads, "Dear Mr. Secretary, we are writing in strong opposition to your recent secretarial order to move forward with offshore oil and gas exploration in the Atlantic Ocean." The letter goes on to read that offshore oil and gas exploration and development puts at risk coastal economies. Numerous studies show the detrimental impact seismic airgun blasting has on fisheries and marine mammals. My town is a beach town. This sucks. Tangentially, it also says that some proponents of opening drilling in the Atlantic make the argument that seismic airgun surveys would allow local communities to learn more about what resources might be available. The reality is that, by law, the data obtained from seismic surveys are only available to the oil and gas industry. The public would not have access to the survey data. Opening the Atlantic to seismic testing and drilling jeopardizes our coastal businesses. Wildlife? Harmed. Beach economies? Disrupted. Potential for disaster? Raised exponentially. The only people who benefit? The oil companies. I don't know what to say. This isn't great news. In a bill signed by the aforementioned controversial figure, 5 companies have been given licenses for seismic testing in 2019. This might not seem too bad, but it's the gateway point for Zinke's plan. This potentially disastrous proposal is on course to happen. Overall, I give this petition a 10 out of 10. Save the whales. I asked Whale Fact on Twitter if they had any thoughts, and they said, yes, it makes me whaley sad, to be honest. All sources are in the description, as well as a link to the petition. Did you sign it? Let me know. And while you're down there, there's a couple other buttons you might want to click. I've been Jack. Thanks for watching.